But we also should talk about the undercard. I don't know if we've gotten spoiled with some of these very packed undercards that we've had lately, undercards that didn't have to make money, they could be loss leaders. This is also promoted or financed by Turkey Al Sheikh, but it feels like a lackluster undercard to me. Sergey Boachuk, that fight should have been much better. He was supposed to face Israel Madrimov in a fight between junior middleweight contenders before Madrimov pulled out. Boachuk is at least facing a solid late replacement in Ishmael Davis. But otherwise, we've got Peter McGrail against another late replacement, Reese Edwards, Moses Itama versus Dempsey McKean, Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen, and Lee McGregor versus Isaac Lowe. Are you excited about this undercard? Am I just being unfair?
No, I don't think you're being unfair at all. I think when you look down the left-hand side of the undercards, there is 4 clear winners, and Boachuk, McGrail, Atama, and Fisher will win comfortably, in my opinion, very, very comfortably. The only one which intrigues me more than anything is Lee McGregor versus Isaac Lowe, which is it's not a bad fight. It's okay. I think they're pretty well matched. I was a couple of meters away from the pair of them on the press conference announcement, and there was a good bit of needle there. So normally that calls for a good fight with some genuine kind of intentions to go for it. So that's the only other one that really intrigues me. But yeah, like if look, I just made some predictions for Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk 2, or the other way around. I think Boachuk will win inside the distance quite comfortably. I imagine Peter McGrail will beat Reese Edwards, who is unbeaten. He'll be too skillful and he'll be too clever. His boxing IQ is going to be too much for Reese Edwards in terms of how I'm seeing it. Moses Atama is just knocking everybody out. And Dave Allen, with all the respect in the world, is he's only 32, but he's an old man really, because he's been in there and had some ridiculous fights where he's taken so much unnecessary punishment. And I don't know if you ever heard this story about when he was sparring with Oleksandr Usyk, and that was kind of the time when he decided to call it a day within boxing initially, before he came back and came out of retirement. Not exactly a George Foreman return out of retirement, but it was a return out of retirement. And Oleksandr Usyk hit him, and basically, like, his brain was so scrambled, he lost his feet, and he doesn't really remember much from that spar or anything around it. And there's a bit more detail that goes into it, and some good articles and interviews of him explaining it. But that was like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Since then, he's been punched in the head many, many, many times, and Johnny Fisher has got the bit between his teeth, and he's knocking absolutely everybody out. So, a very long answer, but yeah, maybe we have been spoiled. But I just think the left-hand side of the card are going to have a bit of a walk in the park. Am I being too harsh?
I don't think you're being too harsh. I think one upside of this card being in Riyadh is that it's starting early in the morning here in DC, so around 10:30. So 3:30 over there in the UK. So at least we're not going to be staying up too late. That said, I really wish that these promoters, these broadcasters would give us a better time for when the walkout fight was going to be, so that those of us who don't want to sit through the long slog of an undercard at least know when we can start tuning in for the other big fights.
Here's my problem, David. I've never had this problem before for a mega card, but I've got a problem on Saturday. I actually want the main event to be as late as possible, because it is my wife's birthday on the 22nd, and my youngest son follows, right? So they've got a joint party together on Saturday, which obviously I will be at. And my dear wife booked it in, not knowing what the boxing calendar looked like. How dare she? So I'm hoping that the party will be over and I'll get home about 11 p.m. UK time, and there's still a couple of fights before Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk come out. But that's just me being completely selfish. However, in all seriousness, I would say from past experience, whether that's been the recent Tyson Fury fights or Anthony Joshua fights and the Riyadh season events, they have generally started a lot later, but it would be good of them, and they will release it eventually, to say when that main event is meant to be happening.
You'll be rooting for another unnecessary concert before the main event,
Oh, mate,
and
I tell you
maybe
what, yeah, just get them all out. Just like get Missy Elliott back as well. That's what I say, and get her to just do her entire album back catalogue until I get back, and then they can turn the power off.
this is going to be like what radio DJs did years before, where they need to go to the bathroom and they would just play Freebird or some other very long song on the radio so they could take their time. Well, happy early birthday to your wife. I hope that you both get exactly what you want this coming Saturday.